Okay, I'm back. Let's see if the sound works. I have a feeling it was because my husband tried to call me and something happened. So let me know if you can hear me. I think you can hear me. Can you hear me? So I was speaking about, my latest post. Do we get... Oh, still no sound? Really? Oh, it's fine now. Okay. Okay, cool. So, surely we can have an intelligent conversation about this. Come on, surely we can. Because, so this woman, her daughter was in a coma for 5 months. Those of you that were listening from the beginning, I was sharing about this mother that was telling me the story of her daughter after she got the measles. The daughter fell into a coma. Now, this is one of many, 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 many stories. And in fact, when I first moved to South Africa, I was doing sound healing journeys, and I was working with a child. She was 12, 13 at the time, who also had was injured from these jabs. And, for many years, okay, so here's the interesting part. I was already helping others that had been injured from, and I was oblivious to the fact for many years that I had been injured from, because I was pro. I had my last jab when I went to India. I was 24, and didn't think anything of it. The doctor said I should, and so I was like, okay, yeah, that's what we do. And yet, and then later on in life, I dealt with autoimmune issues, chronic fatigue. Just like a long string of mystery illnesses. It just seemed to be never ending. There was always something wrong with me, but we couldn't put our finger on it. And eventually, my family and many other people thought that I was just loopy and that I was making it all up and that I was lazy, and there were all kinds of labels for me. And quite honestly, I eventually bought all these stories about myself as well. I bought in that, well, yeah, maybe I just became a lazy hippie because I spent too much time in India. I became too spiritual. I was becoming bipolar like my uncle. All these stories, I did buy into them for many years. I was like, yeah, maybe that's the truth. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe I'm just kind of like a bad person, that doesn't want to pull herself out of her misery, and maybe I'm just a victim. And there was all of that for many years for me, and it was hard. It was really, really hard, because in my mind, I knew that this wasn't it, but there wasn't any other option. Nothing was pointing towards anything. And only once I took things into my own hands, because my health completely crashed, because I found myself bedridden, as I began to research, and as we know, these things, you don't just research and learn about all of this overnight. Like initially, it's just so completely overwhelming. And it took me many, many years to really understand. And I'm still learning. I'm still learning the ramifications of, why do we have so much multiple toxicity? Why do we have so many people that are struggling with their health, with chronic health issues, with acute health issues, with issues that no matter what they do, they're not coming out of it, and they're not coming out of it fully, and or then they're kind of coming out of it, and then something happens and boom, they're back in a crisis situation. And eventually, yes, it is the hardest decision we'll ever have to make. Absolutely. Like, it's just, let's be real, it's hard. So anyway, after years and years of research, to then finally come to the realization that, oh my gosh, I have had jab injury, and the long string of health issues that came thereafter were a consequence. And I'm not saying that was the sole reason, but I was born to, parents who had their own issues, health issues, and we all do. And, very few of us come from kind of pristine genetics, that's another truth. So already I was born to people with not the greatest genetics, and multiple toxicity on that side as well, amalgams in teeth and so forth. So already that was like my compromised self at birth. On top of it now, we get the jabs, which further weaken the system really on a foundational cellular level. And for some of us, like in a sense, I was lucky. I was lucky because it didn't damage me enough or severely immediately. It was like a bit by bit by bit. And yet by the time that I was a teenager, where, I got, I don't know, I can't remember, but the typical, like the HPV, and there were a couple, HPV, something else, can't think of the name right now, but it was in Italy. So anyway, there were at least 3 or 4 that we got as teenagers, or between the age of 10 and 13. And all I remember is that, looking back, I didn't make the connection at the time, like I just didn't. But there was weight gain, puffiness, bloatedness, constantly feeling tired. I just remember as a teenager always looking at the other kids and going, why am I so much slower? Why do I gain weight the minute that I eat something? Everybody else was enjoying their food and was like, the minute that I ate something that was out of the ordinary, it was like, boom, I would gain weight. But the most kind of obvious thing to me that was already as a teenager in my mind, I would always ask myself, why do I have less energy than everybody else? And then as I grew up into a young adult, that also, it was a constant question. It was like, wow, I eat mostly, healthy, what was considered healthy back then. And compared to others, I didn't drink alcohol and all of that. I was like, and yet I have so much less energy and capacity for life. And, eventually this was just, yes, my love? Sure. And that was just, more increasingly more and more, until I found myself bedridden at the age of 40 with a long string of health issues that were unresolved and that were unanswered for. And to be fully honest, only about 2 years ago, I had an inkling, yes, okay, that there was a degree of injury from the jabs, but I didn't realize the extent because I had actually totally forgotten that at the age of 24, I got, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 additional jabs because of my travels. And only once I really began to remember, and to kind of then string my health history together once again with that remembering, was like, whoa, okay, actually, that is where it all began to go downhill. And obviously, this is not the case for everybody, because it's not, Some people have immediate severe reactions. Some people have not so severe reactions that drag on, and then look like autoimmune disease, that look like other things, but actually the origin is from the toxins. And of course, again, it's not just those toxins, but those toxins have a major impact on our nervous system, on our endocrine system, which is the motherboard for everything else, for all other systems. And once that is impacted, it's kind of like it's a slow trickle down effect. It's a domino effect. It's not just, from one day to the next something happens and you can blame it. It's a trickle down effect. And that's why it is so hard to then, of course, go back and say, oh, that was the cause. But in all my experience, research, that is what I can pinpoint it. Yeah, of course. No, of course, we know that. Nothing good can come of that. But what I'm saying is, hey, for some people who, and it's about 20% of people, it's actually not more. 20% of people have really strong genetics, have good detox pathways, whatever. For whatever reason, they can handle pretty much anything. And we all know those kind of people. They can eat what they want, they can drink what they want, they can party what they want, and they can handle it. Sure, we don't know what's going to happen to them, once they hit 50, 60 and so forth, but they look like they can handle it. I could never handle anything from the get-go. And the more that I detoxed the general stuff, the more I realized, well, actually, the big problem is the heavy metals, the various sorry, that was my battery, that come as a consequence from these jabs. Now, in my case, my life has been so compromised on so many levels because of them, that the thought of exposing myself to another one is just, I can't go there. Because first of all, I don't know how my body's going to react, and that terrifies me. And even if I prepare and do the aftercare and all of that, the fear of having a whole other host of health consequences because of it terrifies me. And it's like, I can't go there. Not after everything that I've been through and after everything that I had to do to undo what has been done. Now, do I believe that all of this is done to us on purpose? I actually don't. My mind kind of, I'm sorry to say, or I'm happy to say, it's almost like I can't even go there. Like in my mind, it's like, no, this has to come from ignorance, and maybe I'm being ignorant, and that's okay, I can accept that, but I can't quite bring myself to go, no, they're doing this on purpose. So I give the benefit of the doubt and I go, hey, fear, and we've all seen this many times, fear makes us do ugly things. And so, it's a fear may make, these various companies do things, I don't know. I'm not even going to, talk more about that because I don't know and I don't even want to know. Yes, thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, we need to have this conversation. We need to be aware of what can and could happen, and that the reality is you may have the thing and you may not have any ill effects until 10 or 15 years later, and that's kind of my point. At the same time, sure, when and if we're confronted, and I know many people are right now, they're being confronted where, the one mother, she's like, I had to take it, I have to work, I don't know what else to do, I have to put food on the table. She's a single mother, she had to get it. Like, what am I going to tell this woman? She's wrong, she's crazy, she's weak? No. I'm gonna tell her, okay, well, respect to you, I understand, compassion, let's help you to do what is possible to strengthen your body. And I do believe, I mean, I know from myself, like our bodies can and will heal anything. Are there certain things that we can't, detox from, or then, yes, probably, in fact, definitely, that is my experience as well. But we can certainly reclaim our health to a level where life's good. 7 years I was bedridden. In those moments, I never believed that I could get my health back to this level. Like, just never believed it. I could barely walk for 15 minutes. Walking for 15 minutes, I remember taking my kids to the park or to, a wine farm or whatever. We were living in South Africa at the time. And, big, beautiful open spaces. And whenever we would go to the botanical gardens, I would have to just prepare myself physically, psychologically, because I knew it's like, okay, great, we're going to walk for 20 minutes until we find a place to sit. Like, I felt like a granny. I always had to manage my energy. I always had to think, wait, I need to still, after doing this, I need to go to the grocery store. I need some reserves of energy to go and do the shopping, And that wasn't a way to live. It sucked. It was horrible. And then on top of it, not knowing, not having answers, not having any support, any real answers from the medical community or alternative community of, why was I feeling this way? It was hell. It was hell for many years. And do I want to go back there? No. Like, that's just, for me, it's not an option. But if we have to, and like I said, I don't have the so-called gun at my head right now. I may, just because right now we're sitting here in beautiful Bali and, in the middle of the jungle, I don't know what's going to happen. And so I do contemplate, well, what if? And not just what if for me, but what if for the people that are in my community, for the people that I care about. And I mean, essentially, even the people that I don't know, I care about, because I can empathize, right? And so, whereas initially I would judge because I'm human, now it's like, no, I'm not going to judge anymore, because I am not in your shoes. I'm not in their shoes. So my message is, be informed, be aware no matter what decision you make, and know that if for whatever reason you decide to get it, you feel you need to get it, you're not given a choice. And of course people say, oh, we always have a choice. Well, I've heard enough stories to know that no, some of us don't have a choice. But then there are things that we can do to support our immune system, to support our detox pathways. And that's where I'm currently, I've done a lot of research, and I'm kind of finalizing pieces of a protocol, which may then change again in a couple months time as I have more information. But for now, a good solid protocol on what can you do. Because the reality is, if already you have autoimmune issues, if you have mold toxicity, if you have heavy metal toxicity for that matter, if your nervous system is compromised for many different reasons, getting it could be pushing you over the edge. Like, it's not a given, but it could push you over the edge, and or it could give you issues later down the line. 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, we don't know. But what we can do, and what we want to be doing, is preparing our bodies, and never mind, because it's not just for the reason of the jabs. We are living, like, the truth is, as wonderful as this world is, and it truly is, but we are facing, every single one of us, no matter how pristinely we are living, we are facing an unprecedented onslaught of toxicity to our systems. And it's not just the obvious stuff, but now more than ever, it is also the emotional and mental toxicity, nervous system disturbances. I see and hear it all the time. You know, so even those that on Instagram are looking all like, you know, yo, check me out, I'm so calm and serene. No, how can you? How can we be completely, you know, even with all the most wonderful practices, how can you be truly in your root, be calm and serene with what is going on in the world? We can be centered, yes, but we are all feeling the effects of what is happening, and we're all digesting them in one way or another. And so the more we can support our bodies, and especially our nervous system, because when our nervous system is under attack, everything else starts to go as well. Nervous system, endocrine system, that is the motherboard of our body, which is why, for example, you know, if and when we are exposed to the virus, or any virus for that matter, you know, what can you do? I've always treated any kind of dis-ease as a deep meditation. And so when, you know, and touch wood, I haven't gotten sick in the last 7 years other than detox. But even when that has happened, I just go into deep meditation with it, you know, and I trust my body. I kind of calm my nervous system down. It's almost, the illness is the cure. The disease is the cure, because as the body starts to purge, we know that the body is ready to actually heal, even though sometimes it can be super hectic. And that's where, for example, my practice in fasting, you know, has taken me to some really deep and dark places, which then were resolved and resulted in higher states of health and bliss. So I no longer fear the state of dis-ease, you know, and that's been a huge gift. But what I'm sharing for you is, don't fear the state of dis-ease. Your body knows what to do. If your nervous system can stay calm and centered, if you can stay in an energy of trust your body, trust your life, no matter what. So for now, that's all I wanted to share, you know, and to, it's like, start thinking about these things that I've shared. And, you know, and I'm totally open to hearing opposing arguments. You know, I'm not saying that I have all the answers, by far, you know, now more than ever I don't, but I'm looking and listening to all sides, because it's not black and white. Yeah, so thank you for joining me in this ongoing conversation. And what I'm planning to do, I'm trying to find a date, probably towards the end of the week. I want to do a live with David, where I want to announce it so that you can actually, you know, join and be aware of it, where I'm going to share what have been, you know, my greatest lessons and pitfalls on the journey of self-healing, fasting, cellular regeneration, and all of that, because, you know, that's how we learn. My journey has not been without mistakes. And thank you, Heart Shine a lot. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct. Could be Heart Shine LA. So yeah, that's me for today. Thank you, everyone. Sending you so much love. Speak soon.